Hi everyone, welcome to BODHI. My name's Alex Nashton, and this gentleman with the headband is Christopher Yates. We're going to be moving through a 45-minute long beginner's foundation class today, so you're going to want to have 2 blocks handy. If you don't have 2 blocks, don't worry about it. Just use whatever you've got at home. Old shoe boxes work, DVD sets, even just some old thick textbooks. Any of that will do as a block substitute. And then you're also gonna want to have something squishy for underneath your knees as we get into some of the standing postures and kneeling postures. So make sure that you have either a pillow, a bolster, or a blanket nearby. And we're gonna start with just a little bit of a restorative back bend for today's class. And I'm gonna give you guys some options depending on what props you have at home. If you have blocks like Chris has, you're gonna take them to the ground back behind you, and I'll show you exactly what to do to them. You're gonna bring one block to the medium setting, just underneath the shoulder blades, and then the other block to the highest setting. This is gonna go underneath the back of the skull. So when Chris lies back, the bottom edge of his shoulder blades connects with the bottom edge of that block, and then he'll position the second block, the highest block, to support the back of his skull. Now, if this is the position that you've landed in, you can definitely stay here. Otherwise, I'll show you all our alternative setup. So Chris, come back up again. Now, if you have a long, skinny bolster like we do here, you can lie that underneath your spine. Otherwise, taking your blanket, you'll unfold it once or maybe even twice. And then you're gonna make this little sausage roll shape with the blanket. And you'll use that to support your spine as you lie yourself back. You want to be sure that your sitting bones, the back of your pelvis, your sacrum is actually down on the ground, but that the rest of your spine is supported. And if you're finding here that your chin is kind of jutting up towards the sky, or the front of the throat is really, really open here in a way that doesn't really feel good for the back of your neck, you can take the top edge of that blanket and then maybe roll it in once or twice to give yourself a little bit more of a pillow here so the chin can come in closer to the throat. And now you have some options for the arms and for the hands. I like most of all here to let the palms of the hands face up beside me. Although if that's not feeling too good for you, you can take one hand to your belly, one hand to your chest. If you want to find a little more of a stretch, a little bit more of an opening in the armpits and the tops of the shoulders, you might bring your arms into more of a T shape out by the sides of your body. Or maybe even kind of extending them up overhead a little bit. That's cool too. And then for the lower body, for the legs, we want to find a position that feels really easeful and simultaneously really comfortable here. So if you have any tenderness in your lower back, it would be a good idea to keep your knees bent and the soles of your feet on the ground like Chris is demonstrating here. What I like even more for lower back sensitivity is to walk the feet a little bit further away from each other and then to let the knees fall into touch so they're making almost a tent shape here. Otherwise, you have the option to walk your feet out in front of you, lengthening out through your legs until your lower body lands in more of a shavasana-like position where the legs are just extended and really relaxed here. And now you'll feel into the weight of the back of your body. So you'll let your heels get heavy. You'll let the back of your pelvis get heavy. Imagine your shoulders getting heavy, and as they do, kind of pulling away from each other and down. So there's a widening, a broadening that accompanies that heaviness. With the heaviness in the shoulders, you can find a little more expansion, a little more space across the front of the chest. You'll let the weight of your eyelids hang heavy over your eyes and imagine the back of your skull getting heavier. And heavier. And heavier. Become aware of your pattern of breathing, and imagine that with each exhale, your entire body could get heavier and sink down just a little bit closer to the ground beneath you. As if with each breath out, you could shed a layer of tension. And now in this shape, we'll become more aware of the breath in a way that mimics the pranayama technique called Nadi Shodhana, which if you've taken my class before, you've probably done with me 100 times. But instead of using our hands to regulate the flow of breath between the two nostrils, we're going to use simply our own awareness. Because we know that whatever we put across the screen of the mind, the body believes is actually happening. And so with your eyes still closed, you'll focus your attention very specifically at your nostrils. And as you take your next breath in, you'll focus on just the right side nostril, pulling the breath in. And then you'll switch your awareness over to your left side and become aware of the left side nostril as you breathe out. Still focusing on the left side, you'll inhale again. At the top of your breath in, you shift your awareness over to the right side and imagine the breath moving out through just the right side. So again, you inhale through the right, through that same side. You switch and exhale left. You inhale again through the same side, through the left. And then you switch and exhale through the right. And you'll keep going just like that, in through the right, out through the left, in through the left, out through the right. As you do, becoming more and more focused, more and more balanced. And now you'll focus on both of your nostrils simultaneously, the way the breath moves up and down the channel of the nostrils. And eventually you'll gather your knees into your chest, still remaining aware of that breath moving in a very balanced way in and out of your nose. So knees come all the way into the chest, and see if you can keep your awareness suspended at the nostrils as you begin to rock yourself forward and back. So grab onto your shins, or alternatively, the backs of your thighs, and next time you come up, you'll sit. And you can slide your blanket, you'll slide your pillow, you'll slide your blocks out of the way. And as you find that seated position, you'll cross your ankles in front of you and climb all the way up and over onto all fours. So coming onto hands and knees, you'll make sure that your wrists are underneath your shoulders and that your knees are underneath your hips. If you have anything going on in your hands or in your wrists and you need to find a little extra stability there, you can make 2 fists with your hands. You'll breathe in and reach your right fingertips up to the sky, and you'll pause with your right fingertips lifted. You'll put more awareness down into your left shoulder and imagine your left shoulder sliding down your back away from your ear. Think about pushing the floor away from you with the palm of your left hand. The tops of your feet stay glued down to the floor, inner hip distance apart. So Chris, you can separate your feet just a little bit more. Now as you exhale, you're going to thread the back of your right hand between left wrist and knee. So you drop your shoulder, you drop your ear all the way down to the ground. We want to be sure that the hips aren't moving at all here, but that instead you keep your right hip balanced over right knee, left hip over left knee. That the feet are just as wide apart as the knees. And then you can climb up onto your left fingertips like there's a little muffin or a little cupcake underneath your hand, and you'll walk your left fingertips forward. And then you'll walk your left fingertips over to the right. And you'll use the leverage of your left hand, you'll use the leverage of your left fingertips rooting down to elevate your left shoulder, to elevate your left side lung, to elevate your left side ribs. And imagine that with each inhale, your spine could elongate. That with each exhale, you could revolve right side body up towards the sky, left side body could push down towards the ground. We'll take a few more breaths there. Can you keep your awareness focused at your nostrils for these last few breaths in this position? And then you'll slide the palm of your left hand back to frame your face. You'll push down through that left hand, breathe in and reach your right fingertips up to the sky. And with your exhale, release your right hand back down. Inhale, the left hand reaches up this time. You pause here, you push the floor away from you with the palm of your right hand. You make sure right shoulder blade is sliding down your back away from your ear and that your hips have not shifted at all. So right hip stays over right knee, left hip stays over left knee. You're making even more space across the front of your chest, and then with your exhale, you thread back of the left hand between right wrist and knee. You drop your shoulder and your ear all the way down to the ground. You climb up onto your right fingertips. And then you'll walk your right fingertips forward. And then you'll walk your right fingertips over towards the left. So that gives you a little extra space to revolve into. Imagine that with each breath in here, your spine could get longer. That with each breath out, you could spin left side lung, left side rib cage up towards the sky, right side lung and rib cage. Pardon me, I think I said that the opposite. So right side lung and rib cage revolve up towards the sky, left side lung and rib cage revolve down towards the ground. Slide your feet inner hip distance apart. So Chris usually likes to let his feet move in towards each other here, and I have to fight him to keep them hip distance apart. Stay. Okay. You can bring your right hand back to frame your face. Push down through the palm of your right hand. Inhale your left fingertips up to the sky. Exhale your left hand down to the ground. And now you'll walk your hands out a little further in front of your shoulders. You'll tuck your toes under and push your hips up and back into a downward facing dog. Adho Mukha Svanasana. Your feet are going to be inner hip distance apart. And now we want to be sure that the shoulders are really in the right setup here. So I want you to think about taking your hands out towards the 2 side edges of the mat. And you can literally grip onto the 2 side edges of the mat here with your hands. So you're holding on. Yeah. Chris is still kind of nursing a thumb injury, so he might not necessarily do this one all out. But you will, unless you too have a thumb injury. You're gonna bend your elbows out wide towards the two side edges of the room that you're in. You bend them so wide that you lower the crown of your head a little bit closer to the ground. So elbows are coming out here, out, 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 out. And while you keep them bent deeply, you're gonna take your elbow tips now towards the back of your mat. And then pushing down through the grip of your hands on the mat, you straighten out your elbows, and that'll kind of help your shoulders settle into the right setup. From that setup in the shoulders, so keeping the shoulders externally rotated exactly as they are, you bring the palms of your hands back down. Beautiful, and now you can walk your feet up to meet your hands. And when they get there, you'll widen your stance so your feet are inner hip distance apart. You'll make sure that your knees are not knocking in towards each other here. A lot of us have a tendency to do that. So think about pulling your knees apart so knees are directly over your ankles. Let your upper body drape down. Let your upper body be heavy. Let the back of your neck lengthen. And now as you next breathe in, you're going to walk your hands up onto your shins and find a flat back. Beautiful. Pull your spine long. So from your tailbone to the crown of your head, you make space. Now as you exhale, you're going to straighten the backs of your legs. Engage your thighs so your kneecaps lift up, and pause here. Most of us will kind of let the butt stick back in space, but I want you to think about keeping your hips over your ankles. So everyone shift a little more weight towards your toes, a little less on your heels. Squeeze your belly button in towards your spine, and then with your next breath out, you'll let your upper body relax down while the backs of the legs stay lengthened. You'll inhale and sweep your fingertips all the way around and up to the sky. Come to stand all the way up. And now with your breath out, you bring palms of your hands to touch at the center of your chest. And we're going to do that again. So inhale, reach your arms around and up. Fingertips extend up towards the sky. As you exhale, you swan dive. Move slowly here, really slowly. So flat back like Chris is demonstrating for as long as you can. When you get to that point, when you get to that edge where you can't maintain the flat back anymore, you're going to let your spine intentionally round so the upper body relaxes down. Inhale, walk your hands up onto your shins, find a flat back. And then exhale, bend your knees, plant your hands down, step just the ball of your left foot way back behind you. Good. So we're finding a 90-degree bend in that front knee. The front knee is stacked directly over the ankle. You're going to inhale and step your right foot back to meet your left foot, so moving into a plank pose. If this is feeling like too much for you already, you're more than welcome to drop your knees down to the ground. Otherwise, you're pushing the floor away from you really hard with the palms of your hands. You're lifting the front of your chest up towards the back of your chest. So the back of your chest is lifted up just as high as your shoulder blades. Belly button squeezes in towards the spine. Tailbone lengthens down towards the heels. Good. And now, again, either with the knees lifted or alternatively, you can drop them down. Your shoulders are going to come forward past your wrists. You come high up onto your tiptoes, and then bending your elbows straight back, you lower all the way down onto your belly. From your belly, you'll untuck your toes, so point your toes back. Get the tops of your feet down on the ground and firm your thighs so kneecaps lift up as the tops of the feet stay glued to the floor. Your pubic bone presses down, your tailbone lengthens back. You breathe in and lift your head, your neck, and your chest up off of the ground. Keep squeezing your elbows in by the sides of your body. You exhale and release back down again. Inhale, head, neck, and chest lift up. Your elbows are still squeezing in. You exhale and release back down. We're going to do that one more time. You inhale and lift up. This time, as you exhale, push down through the palms of your hands, push down through the tops of your feet, come up onto all fours, at which point you can tuck your toes under and lift your hips up and back into a downward facing dog. Take a breath in here. Take a breath out. Inhale, look forward past your fingertips. And then at the bottom of your next exhale, you're gonna step your left foot up in between your hands. Now, if you have a hard time getting your left foot up there, you can definitely use your left hand here to coax that left foot up. And then you'll step your right foot up to meet your left foot, immediately take your hands to your shins and find a flat back. Remember, the hips are stacked over the ankles, so a little more weight forward towards your toes, a little less on your heels. Exhale, hollow out your belly, let your upper body relax down, Uttanasana. Inhale, sweep your fingertips all the way around and up to the sky, Urdhva Hastasana. Exhale, bring the palms of your hands to touch at the center of your chest, your shoulders relax down your back. Inhale, reach around and up again. You exhale and dive yourself forward and down. Inhale, you lift halfway up. Exhale, bend your knees, plant your hands. This time, right foot steps way back behind you. You inhale to take the left foot back to meet it in a plank pose. Knees are lifted, or you can drop them down, engage your core, and then shoulders shift forward past your wrists. You're high on your tiptoes. You bend your elbows straight back and lower all the way down onto your belly. From your belly, tops of your feet find the ground. You inhale to lift your head, neck, and chest up. Exhale, release back down. Inhale, baby cobra again, head, neck, and chest lift up. You exhale to release back down. One more time, you'll inhale and lift up. Exhale, press down through your hands, press down through the tops of your feet. You slide up onto all fours, and then tucking your toes under, you push your hips up and back, downward facing dog. Take a breath in here. And a breath out. Inhale, look forward. Exhale, your right foot steps up between your hands this time. Inhale, step your left foot up to meet your right foot. Hands come to your shins, Ardha Uttanasana, so flat back, halfway lift. You exhale and release down again. Lengthen out the backs of your legs. Inhale, reach your arms around and up to the sky. Come to stand all the way up. Exhale, palms of your hands come to touch at the center of your chest. Your shoulders relax down, your back away from your ears. Inhale, reach up again. You exhale and dive yourself forward and down. So maintain that flat back for as long as you can. After you release full, you inhale and lift halfway up. Exhale, bend your knees, plant your hands, left foot steps back. Inhale, right foot steps back, plank pose. Knees stay lifted or you drop them. Shoulders slide forward as you breathe in. You breathe out and lower onto your belly. Tops of the feet connect with the ground. Engage your thighs so kneecaps lift up. And this time, slide your wrists back so they're underneath your elbows. Make sure your elbows are still squeezing in. Engage fully through your legs. Pubic bone presses down towards the ground. Your tailbone lengthens back towards your heels. You breathe in and lift head, neck, and chest up away from the ground. Shoulders draw down your back. Now this time you have the option to move into upward facing dog, which would mean that you press down so much through the palms of your hands that you begin to straighten out your elbows until both your hips and your thighs lift up away from the ground. Your chest is reaching up towards the sky, your shoulders are pushing down your back away from your ears, and you're trying to pull your pubic bone forward towards the top of the mat as your tailbone reaches back. Now as you exhale, you tuck your toes under, you lift your hips all the way up and back, Adho Mukha Svanasana, downward facing dog. Take a breath in here. Take a breath out. Inhale, look forward. Exhale, step your left foot up between your hands. Inhale, bring your right foot up to meet it. Hands immediately come to your shins, Ardha Uttanasana, that halfway lift. Exhale, fold forward again. Inhale, arms sweep around and up, Urdhva Hastasana. You'll pause here with the arms reaching up. Be sure that your rib cage is not flaring open, but instead the bottom two ribs hug in towards each other. Your tailbone is lengthening down as your pubic bone lifts up, and then you exhale and bring the palms of your hands to touch at center of the chest. We'll move through one more sun salutation, so breathe in and reach up. Breathe out, dive yourself forward and down. Breathe in, lift halfway up. Exhale, bend your knees, plant your hands, right foot steps back behind you. Inhale, left foot steps back behind you to a plank pose. Knees stay lifted or lowered, either way, shoulders are coming forward. You're bending your elbows straight back and lowering all the way down onto your belly. Make sure your wrists are underneath your shoulders, tops of the feet plugged down. Your kneecaps lift up, you firm your thighs, and then you inhale to lift head, neck, and chest up. If you'd like to move through upward facing dog once again, you have that option by straightening out the elbows, lifting through the chest. The thighs and the knees are lifted up away from the ground, the pelvis is lifted, and then you exhale to tuck your toes under. Everybody lift your hips up and back, downward facing dog. Take a breath in here. Take a breath out. Inhale, look forward. Exhale, step your right foot up between your hands. Inhale, left foot up to meet it. Hands come to your shins. You find a flat back. You exhale and release forward again. Inhale, reach your arms all the way around and up. Exhale, bring your hands to your heart. And then we'll pause here and you'll bring your hands to your hips. Make sure that your feet are inner hip distance apart. So if you need to measure that from standing upright, you can swivel one heel into the opposite big toe mound, and that'll kind of give you the right proportion. That'll kind of give you the right distance before you hide your heels once again behind the widest part of your foot, behind your second and third toe. Also be sure that your knees are not knocking in towards each other here, but that you're pulling your knees just as wide apart as the ankles. With your hands still on your hips, you're going to pick one single point on the wall in front of you to gaze at. And as you keep your eyes focused on that one single point, you're going to shift your weight onto your right foot and let your left knee start to kind of move up towards your chest. Flex your left foot. Beautiful. And now put the tiniest little bend in your right knee and your standing knee, kind of like you're making a Karate Kid move. You're going to slowly step the ball of your left foot way back behind you, moving into a high lunge. So the right knee, the front knee bends to 90 degrees. The back leg is going to have a little bit of a bend in it, just enough that you can drop your tailbone down. So Chris, can you show me a hyperextension in the lower back? Yeah, can you move your elbows out of the way for a second so the world can see? Yeah, so if you're finding any crunching, if you're finding any compression in your lower back, I want you to bend into this left knee even more and think about dropping your tailbone down as you lift up through your pubic bone in the front of the body. Now, your hands can either stay on your hips if that's helping you remain balanced here. Otherwise, you can reach your fingertips up to the sky. Beautiful. If balance is really tricky here, you always have the option to drop your knee down onto a blanket or onto a pillow or a bolster. Whatever variation you found yourself in, I want you to now open your arms out to a T shape, palms of the hands face forward. As you inhale, you'll think about pulling your spine longer from your tailbone to the crown of your head. As you exhale, you're going to spin your right fingertips back, your left fingertips move forward in space. So you're finding a twist in the uppermost part of your back. Be wary of what's happening in your hips here. Oftentimes our hips will want to move into the twist with us. They'll want to kind of turn and revolve with us. But instead, see if you can keep them on their own trajectory. So right hip is facing the same direction as your right knee, facing the same direction as your right toes. Left hip is facing the same direction as your left toes. There's squareness there. We'll take one more breath in this shape. And then with your exhale, you can unwind yourself, take your hands to your hips again, lift your left knee up if it was lowered, and then very slowly, very intentionally, you're going to step your left foot forward to meet your right foot. Hands stay on your hips. You find that one single point on the wall in front of you to gaze at. You're gonna shift your weight onto your left foot this time and let your right knee come up towards your chest. Put a little bit of a bend into your standing knee, into your left knee, almost like you're making a Karate Kid kind of move. And then you're gonna slowly step the ball of your right foot way back behind you. So putting a bend into your left knee. Good. So again, the right knee can be lifted or you can drop it down to the ground if that helps you feel a little more stable and balanced. Either way, I want you to think about dropping your tailbone down as you lift up through your pubic bone and engage the front plane of your body just a little bit more. Your arms are going to reach around and up to the sky. Beautiful. And so you start by reaching your arms up just so you can really feel into the sides of the body, just so you can really lengthen into the sides of your waist. So can you feel the bottom of your rib cage pulling up in the same direction as your fingertips? Helping you bring the sides of the waist longer and longer and longer. And now you'll open your arms out to a T shape. Be sure that your hips are stable and square, that they're facing directly out in front of you. Inhale, find length in your spine from tailbone to the crown of your head. As you exhale, the right fingertips reach forward, the left fingertips push back in space. So now you're twisting to the left side. Be sure the muscles of your face are soft, that you've unlocked your jaw, that you're making space between your top and bottom teeth. And that you're still breathing here. And then with your next inhale, you'll unwind yourself. You'll come back to center. You'll bring your hands to your hips and lift up your back knee if it was lowered. And now you'll step right foot forward to meet the left foot. So you're standing once again at the top of the mat. Close your eyes for a moment here. Take a breath in. A breath out. Another inhale. Another exhale. Now you'll open your eyes, and as you do, you take in one single point on the wall in front of you. You'll shift your weight onto your left foot and let your right knee come up towards your chest, but this time you'll interlace your fingers around your right shin and work to hug that thigh in nice and close. Shoulders might have a tendency to kind of inch forward here, but I want you to think about pulling your shoulder blades down your back, so pulling the tops of the shoulders away from the ears. Think about pushing down a little bit harder through the ball of your left foot here to help you stay elevated. And now if this is feeling like a challenge, if this is feeling like more than enough, you can definitely stay. Otherwise, you're gonna bring your left hand to the outside of your right knee and reach your right fingertips back behind you as you open up into another twist. And maybe your gaze even turns around to follow those right fingertips. Beautiful. Make sure that you're creating space across the front of the chest and that the right waistline stays long, that you're not hiking your right hip up towards your right armpit here as you revolve into the twist, but instead you drop your right hip down towards the ground. And then you'll slowly unwind yourself. You'll release your right foot down, put a little bit of weight onto your right foot, and then just shake out your left leg, shake out your standing leg. So there's no tension there, it's not holding on too much. Your hands come to your hips once again, you close your eyes, you take a breath in. And a breath out just to center yourself. You inhale and open up your eyes, and this time you shift your weight onto your right foot. Your left thigh comes in towards your chest. You'll interlace your fingers around your left shin and squeeze your knee in nice and close. Remember, shoulders are going down your back away from your ears. And this might feel pretty intense to start, and you don't have to go any further. But if you do want to add another layer of challenge, you can bring your right hand to the outside of the left knee and reach your left fingertips back behind you for a twist. And maybe you let your gaze revolve around towards the left fingertips as well. Make sure you're still breathing. The left hip drops away from the left armpit here, so rather than hiking it upward, you make space. Push down through the big toe mound of your right foot to help you stay grounded. And then you'll slowly unwind yourself. You'll release your left foot down. You put a little bit of weight into that left foot and then shake out the right leg. Let it go. Beautiful. Now soles of both feet are going to be on the ground. You'll inhale and reach your arms around and up. You exhale and dive yourself forward and down. You'll inhale and lift halfway up. You'll exhale to bend your knees, plant your hands, and then step your feet back into a plank pose. From this plank, I want you to lower both knees down onto the ground. And then I want you to slide your hips back just enough that your hips can stack over your knees. So there's a 90-degree bend in the knees. Put the tops of your feet on the ground, inner hip distance apart, and make sure that the tops of these feet stay glued down. We're gonna go into a puppy dog pose. So that's gonna mean that your hips are gonna stay over your knees. You're not gonna slide them forward, nor are you gonna slide them back. And I want you to imagine that I was there in the room with you, standing on the soles of your feet, just like I'm standing on Chris right now, to make sure that the feet don't move anywhere, that the feet stay locked into place. You'll climb up onto your fingertips, so making little tents with your hands. And then keeping the lower body, keeping the hips exactly as they are, you're gonna walk your fingertips forward. So lengthening out and tractioning out your spine, you'll let your upper body start to release down towards the ground. Now, Chris has a pretty flexible upper back, but for those of you who are not quite finding the flexibility here, I want you to slide either a pillow or a block underneath your forehead. Chris, can I demonstrate that with you? Thank you. Yeah. So notice even here, Chris has come forward a little too far with the hips. So Chris, can you back it up just a few steps? Yeah, there we go. So we want to be sure that hips are still directly over the knees here. And that locking of the lower body into place, it really helps us make space in the uppermost part of the back. So keep your arms engaged here. Keep pushing down through your fingertips or even through the palms of your hands if that's what's in contact with the floor. Your elbows are going to stay lifted. And you keep the same kind of external rotation in your shoulders that we did before. So the triceps are turning in towards the ears. The shoulder blades are moving away from each other and then drawing down the back. Take a breath in. And a breath out. Inhale. And exhale. Press down through the palms of your hands and begin to walk yourself back up. You're going to push your hips back towards your heels and come into a child's pose so tops of the feet can stay on the ground. And now you can either let your arms drape out in front of you, or you can wrap your arms around your body so the backs of your hands rest on the ground a little bit closer to your heels. And know that if there is some space between your forehead and the floor beneath you, you can definitely use a block to cushion it. You make sure that you're breathing. And then you'll bring the palms of your hands to the earth in front of you. You'll push yourself up to sit on your heels, and then you'll shift your hips over to one side and swing your legs around in front of you. Bring the soles of your feet to the ground, hang on to the backs of your thighs, and round yourself all the way down onto your back. Once you're on your back, you'll bring right knee into your chest. Extend your left leg. And then draw your right knee across your body for a twist. Your right fingertips extend out to the right. Nice. So if it's uncomfortable for you to just kind of have your right knee hanging out there in space, Chris usually demonstrates for me sliding a block underneath the right knee just so that there's a little extra support. You'll think about elongating the right waistline, so pulling the right hip away from the right armpit. You might even let your gaze turn over towards your right fingertips here. You'll take a full breath in and a long breath out. You'll slowly unwind yourself, so coming onto your back once again. Your left knee will come into your chest. You'll extend your right leg forward. And then you'll draw your left knee across your body for a twist. And you might stack that left knee on a block or on a pillow for support. Your left fingertips extend out to the left, and maybe eventually your gaze follows. And think about pulling your left hip away from your left armpit in this shape. Make sure you're still breathing. Take a full breath in. And a long breath out. Unwind yourself from that twist. Come onto your back once again. And get your hips situated in the middle of the mat, and in your own time, you'll extend your legs out in front of you. You'll let the palms of your hands face up beside you. And we'll settle into Shavasana, our final resting shape. Let your breath be really easeful in this shape. Let go of any lingering effort. Let your awareness become softer and easier and simultaneously a little more refined, with this very gentle perception of the way your breath moves in and the way your breath moves out of your nostrils. And staying on your back, staying in Shavasana, you'll bring your left hand over your heart and your right hand over your left. And know that if you need to stay here a bit longer, you're more than welcome to. Otherwise, we'll finish off the practice from this position. So lying down, you'll find some gratitude for your ability to move through a practice like this, for your ability to cultivate focus and move your mind. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for being a part of this. Namaste.